Practical Talker Sports Show is back on this Friday, a little bit after 11. Jordan here, is always flanked to my right by Tom, and we got Ringo over the Skype machine. How are we doing today, boys, on this Friday morning into afternoon?
Ringo,
No
you
one
go,
says
I was going to say,
anything.
Ringo, usually I jump in there. You go ahead, Ringo. How are you doing?
I was waiting for you to jump in. That's why I paused.
Yeah, you both just had an awkward silence waiting for the next person to make the first move.
We're doing great. Football's finally back. You'd love to see it, even though it was a little bit of a stinker of a game. But
yeah, it felt like it was the Super Bowl, right? Wasn't the Super Bowl 10-3?
13-3, I think. But very close.
Yeah,
very close.
Very
so
game.
the last and the first game are not the best product on the field.
Yeah, no. And we saw that yesterday. It was the final score was 10-3. The Packers take it on the road against the Bears. Me and Ringo picked the Packers to win that one.
Yeah, great start to my betting season, 0-1.
Yep, Tom went with the Bears. The Bears offense, it just looked lost, like they'd never seen a football before. I tweeted that over the account. The Packers had, in the first quarter, I'm pretty sure they had negative 12 rushing yards to start off the game. The rushing yards, total yards. What am I talking about? They had negative 12 total yards, the Packers. So both offenses were looking just to do anything. Every drive, it felt like the Bears were getting booed off the field. But was it more like a great defensive performance? Like, was it a battle of two great defenses? Or was it more just like week one slugginess?
Well, I would give it to week one. They're a little sluggish. But I would also give it, Bears are going to be a top defense. So the Packers offense is going to have to find some, holes in it, try to get things going. But vice versa, I think the Bears offense just is not up to par. No. I don't think the Packers defense is anything special, and I don't think Mitchell Trubisky is anything great. So I'm going with Bears defense is a top 3 defense, but the Bears offense is just not good.
I agree with you on the Bears offense, but the Packers defense did make a lot of moves this offseason. The guy who got the interception was the Bears safety last year, and in the end zone yesterday. He's one of the better safeties in the league. Adrian Amos, he's one of the big names. They added a couple names up front. I think they got Frank Clark from Seattle, right?
Yes, I think they got Frank Clark. They got Zadarius Smith. I think he's a linebacker out of Baltimore. I think they added him too, and they added another linebacker as well. So they did a lot of work to improve the defense because last season, what Tom said, I think is a little more accurate, where the defense isn't really up to par in Green Bay. But they did a lot of work in the offseason to redo that team, especially losing Clinton Dix. And, Preston, Zadarius, and Amos. So those are the 3 big ads for them. And
Frank Clark.
And Frank Clark. I
thought he was the biggest one.
And Frank Clark.
I can't forget Frank Clark.
No, not Frank Clark.
I didn't see him in this tweet that got tweeted out about.
Unless there was a guy named Clark that's not Frank Clark on that defense.
We're going to have to double-check the employment of Frank Clark.
Who is Frank Clark employed by?
Frank Clark is
the
employed
Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
Look like a
There was just a guy named Clark last night that was doing really good, and I assumed it was Frank Clark.
It wasn't Frank.
Rooting for Frank Clark.
Yeah, he's not even
Frank
on the
Clark's
team.
not even in the building.
Yeah. I'm an idiot. All right, that's a bad one on me.
It's okay.
Chiefs got him on defense. They got Tyrann.
Yeah.
They had to make another move on defense, I know, because I know they bolstered that defense. Then they get another Colts.
I mean, for what it's worth, they signed Morris Claiborne too, but he's serving a 4-game suspension.
Yes.
But that's a little veteran help on the cornerback.
Yeah, because the Chiefs lost Marcus Peters 2 years ago. They lost Steven Nelson to the Steelers.
Yeah.
They really had no secondary help. Eric Berry's still unsigned, right?
But Troy, you know who they got?
Who got?
The Chiefs.
Who they get?
Frank Clark.
Frank Clark. The Chiefs did get Frank Clark. Not the Packers. The Chiefs got Frank Clark. Can I find out who this actual guy Clark was on the defense?
I'm sure you can.
Kenny Clark. He had half a sack, and he had 4 total tackles yesterday.
Good for him.
Any relation to Frank Clark?
I don't know. It's a very common name. I guess I'll check that right now. Is Frank Clark
really checking that?
Related to Kenny Clark? I'm typing Kenny Clark.
So, but Ringo, go on. So you said.
Oh yeah. So I think
Kenny
it's a little
Clark
bit of both.
Jr.?
it's a little bit of a week one stinker. Just like teams are still like got to find their groove and they're coming out the season cold and whatnot. But I also think that both these, obviously the Bears defense is already established as a very good defense from last year and coming into this year. But I think the Packers defense is good too. I mean, I wouldn't consider them as elite as the Bears, but I think they're still good.
Yeah, they have a lot of names.
Exactly. So
I
think both defenses did play very well and last night, but it's also a little bit of the week one like blues with just coming out of the season cold. So yeah, so that's what you're gonna get when on literally the first game of the season.
Yeah, so I agree. They made some huge additions to the defense, but like I said, the Bears' offense, no matter what week it was, what week it's going to be, I don't think it matters really the defense. I just don't think the Bears' offense is in the top 12, top 15 of the NFL.
Mitch had a good year last year, Trubisky. He had a good year last year. I really didn't have much confidence he was going to carry it over to this year. And so it's only one game, but he and the whole offense just looked lost. They couldn't get – and the one time they did get something going, he threw an absolute just a bad look. He threw a lollipop in a double coverage in the back of the end zone, and poor Allen Robinson turned into a defensive back and had to try to knock the ball out of Adrian Amos' way. And Adrian Amos got a big pick. And did you see during that game, this just goes to – well, we've discussed this, how important preseason is and how people are trying to like exit out or limit, either get rid of preseason football or just limit the amount of games in preseason football. And we've discussed how we feel it's important on this show. You see it week one, the amount of sloppiness and penalties there were, and how the offenses were just lost at times. There was one point in the game when the Bears had a first down at inside the Packers 40, and then 3 penalties later turned into a 1st and 40. It was insane. When do you see a 1st and 40?
You saw that last year. You see it every year. It happens.
1st and 40,
yes.
Tom?
Okay, but imagine this game being played after 0 preseason games or just 2 preseason games. Imagine this game being played.
If this is week 9, the Bears aren't getting a 1st and 40. Tom, when do you see a 1st and 40 other than that?
Literally, remember one last year? I will look it up. I don't know if it's 1st and 40. It was like a 2nd and 30. It was up there.
Yeah, you get those, Tom. But 3 penalties in a row to get you a 1st and 40.
But just, Tom, add the 1st and 40 to everything else we saw last night, and that's what you get.
They had back-to-back delay of games or like 2 delay games in 3 plays that set up a 3rd and 5 into a 3rd and 10, which they didn't get the Bears. It was just one penalty after
Another point that I wanted to make for the game, with regarding the Bears, I found it very weird that Trubisky had 45 pass attempts in a 4.
Yeah.
Part. It was only a 7-point game. It was only a 7-point game, like up until the end, where they kicked the field goal with like 4 minutes left or something like that. So maybe 5 minutes left, something like that. So the fact that he threw the ball 45 times as if they were down by 2 or 3 scores the whole game, and the Bears rushing was just, I don't know if it was, again, I don't know if they just couldn't do it on their own. Yes, 40, and 11 of those yards was Mitchell Trubisky.
But that was the running backs I got right now. The running backs ran 15 for 46. So
no, that's total. That's with Mitch.
Total?
That's total.
Yep, you're right. Trubisky's in there. 3 rushes for 11 yards for Trubisky.
Yep, I was looking at this last night because I did not notice them running the ball whatsoever.
Yeah, they don't really
you have to imagine they might be missing Jordan Howard a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Jordan Howard.
But they have Montgomery, and they only give him what? How many rushes?
6 rushes.
6 rushes, yeah. So
yeah, but
it's either Montgomery.
What do you expect them to do? Pull Saquon, break one out for 90+ yards? Like you gotta at least give him a couple of more attempts, get him in double digits.
It probably just
wasn't going to be your running back.
I'm trying. I'll look at both sides. Yeah, they should have ran it more, but it probably wasn't looking good. And they really just said, no, who are we going to trust? Our second stringers at a running back, or are we going to trust our quarterback? So that's where they just went.
Well, you don't trust. Well, I don't know how you trust your quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky.
So you're going to trust Mike Davis and David Montgomery over Mitch Trubisky? I'm going to pick Mitch Trubisky, even though he's not that good.
But also, what about Tariq Cohen? What's his usage?
What?
Tariq Cohen, what was his usage?
He didn't run the ball. He didn't run the ball.
8 receptions, 49 yards.
So.
But what I'm trying to say is it's a 4-point game the majority of the game or something like that. They were even up 3-0. Like you said, David Montgomery only had 6 rushes, so I don't know if it's just he couldn't get it done, or anybody on the running backs couldn't get it done, like between him and Mike Davis, or it was just poor play calling that they just wanted to air it out with Mitch the whole game.
Yeah, they just trusted their quarterback. They trusted their hopeful future quarterback over Mike Davis and David Montgomery on any teams or backups.
Maybe.
I don't know. When I see a quarterback with 45 pass attempts, you're thinking that he's down by like 2 scores at least.
Yeah, it was 7-3 the whole night.
Yeah, but maybe also they were trying to look at what the Packers were giving them on defense, and they were saying that, hey, maybe airing it out's going to be the way to win this game, just because of the secondary or the scheme that they were going with against the Packers. So it could have just been they were trying to play what the Packers were giving them, and it just didn't work.
Yeah. It's exactly right. They probably felt that it was a weak secondary. They thought their quarterback could
try to exploit
it, but it just didn't work out. They just kept beating the dead horse. And 26 for 45 for 228 yards and a pick shows you they just kept beating the dead horse, and it didn't really work out.
And that's what I'm saying. That's so I guess we can say it's a little more of the coaching because he's got to make that adjustment.
Yeah. He probably didn't really trust his running backs either because, like I said, these guys are backups on any team. They really don't have it's a running back by committee. Without now Jordan Howard. He's now on Philly. But Allen Robinson had a good game, 7 receptions for 102. They did have that big play where Trubisky, it was a pass interference call, but Trubisky escaped. He is very elusive. I got to give it to him. I did see him escape a lot of sacks last night. He did, with all the pressure that was on him. On both sides, there was pressure. Early on, the Bears defense, like Khalil Mack and company, were just all over, what's his name? All over Aaron Rodgers. Oh, my God. It was just a beatdown. It was a battle of the defenses, and it was a battle of offenses that weren't really prepared. So give that, maybe till week 2, and they'll get it together. But you don't have preseason. This game could have been even more sloppier. There could have been more penalties.
Exactly.
Teams could have been less on page than they already were. 2 delay-a-game penalties in one drive. 1st and 40s when you have a 1st and 10 inside the other team's 40. Drop passes I saw, a lot of missed blocks. Guys were running, like on the last play of the game where they sacked Trubisky for the win. Guy made he did a stunt where he acts like he's going to go rush outside, and he comes back to the inside. The offensive lineman, they missed no communication, went right through. So you need these preseason games.
Exactly. This is what you're going to get in the first few weeks of the season. Do you guys remember when it was a couple seasons now ago when it was the first 4 weeks of the season, the Patriots started out 2-2, and everyone was getting on their case. They're like, "Oh my God, they already have 2 losses already and whatnot." And then obviously they
Chris Negro.
They find of course him, but it was a lot of just the overrays of how oh my God, they already have 2 losses around the media and everything, and they go out and they win another 10 games and whatever. They win the division, obviously. I don't remember if they made. I think they won the Super Bowl that year. It's very likely, but
was that
was
that the Chiefs year when they lost? They got killed by the Chiefs. Because I think that was the year they beat.
I think that was it. I think that was it. Yeah, I think that was it.
That could have been.
But yeah, it's you honestly, the first 4 weeks of the season is a huge learning curve for these teams to get back into the groove of the season, and they don't really hit their stride until. I mean, if you're lucky, week 3, but honestly, sometimes some teams after week 4, you're not going to hit your stride.
That's why you have sometimes bad teams getting hot, have hot starts, and you have good teams slow, and then by November, you start to see who's legit, and it's usually the bad teams fall apart, and the good teams put it together.
And then there's sometimes, Giants don't hit their stride until week 18 when they're on the golf course. So,
Giants need 18 weeks.
So that's on the NFL to make the season a little bit longer for us. But obviously, yesterday, big day in the NFL. You get the first game back. Everyone's excited. But then you wake up, and the most exciting part of the NFL wasn't even the first game of Bears-Packers. It was a Raiders wide receiver, Antonio Brown.
He's back at it again. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, Antonio Brown's nonsense and the drama is more exciting than last night's game.
And that's the sad truth.
Oh.
It is the sad truth.
So, you want to take this one, Tom? You brought it up. What did Antonio Brown do this time, Tom?
So Antonio Brown posted a picture about how he was being fined by the Raiders. Obviously, Antonio Brown wasn't happy about that, even though he has more money than we could ever hope for. So he wasn't happy that he was fined, posted a picture about it. Then after that, him and the GM, Mike Mayock, did not get into a physical confrontation, even though it got close. I heard and read that Raiders wide receiver Antonio Brown had to be held back. But they got into a screaming match, and Brown told Mayock that he would hit him in the face, and then Brown punted the ball and said, "Find me for that." So it was like super bad when Jonah Hill, bam, just kicks the soccer
I saw that was so funny. You better get that soccer ball, Greg. No. That was funny.
Yeah.
That was a good funny comparison.
So now the Raiders are in a sticky situation. Do they suspend Antonio
putting
Brown?
it lightly.
Yeah. Do they suspend him? Do they just hold him out for half of a game? Do they hold him out for a game completely? Do they just cut the wide receiver?
Guy, yeah.
So, but then it came
Find out by
that
Sunday.
if the Raiders suspend Antonio Brown, it would void the $29 million guarantees in his contract, which would basically mean that Antonio Brown's see you later.
He's done. Yeah,
There's no way that he would play after getting over $29 million voided in a contract. How do you ever play for that team?
Well, he has no one to blame but himself. And how can he be upset with these fines after what he did? You don't show up. You don't show up
because of a helmet.
This is the mentality that whatever he does doesn't matter. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
He thinks he's untouchable.
He does.
He thinks he's untouchable.
Oh, it's good you said that because it gives me a perfect segue. Jeremy Fowler is like one of the Steelers' lead beat writers. He's like an Arthur Staple for the Islanders. If for you two to understand, he's like the Jets. Who's the main Jets guy? Ringel.
Like Rich Shamini.
Yeah, he's like the Rich Shamini of the Steelers. We put it that way. He put it perfectly. Like he asked the Steeler players after practice how they really didn't want to talk about the AB situation, but he's like the main census was that AB didn't realize how good he had it in Pittsburgh, how much he can get away with, how much talent he had around, what a good organization he had around him. He didn't realize how good he had it until he went to Oakland and realized it was not even close. He's not getting away with many things. It's not the same organization that are going to give him breaks, and it's not the winning. He doesn't have the winning around him. He doesn't have the talent around him. And now he's starting to realize this isn't Pittsburgh anymore. And as quickly as this guy was the man around this league, is as quickly as he's falling apart now.
Less than a year. Less than a year.
No, this is quicker. This is quicker than he's.
Yeah, it's quick. Yeah, by Sunday he might not even have a football team to play on.
I'm going to guess that he'll be picked up by somebody if he gets cut. But I've also
honestly, I don't know anymore. Because what team is gonna want this?
If the Patriots don't pick him up, I'd be surprised.
But then they're gonna cut him in a heartbeat if he thinks he could do this in New England.
So what's the problem?
Belichick's not putting up.
I was gonna say risk versus reward. The Patriots are gonna hurt themselves or tarnish the culture or their dynasty because they pick up Antonio Brown.
If he messes up, let's say the Patriots pick him up,
he
messes up once, he's gone.
Yeah,
gone.
It wouldn't hurt anything.
Bill Belichick cut guys on Thanksgiving.
Let's not.
That's serious.
Go eat turkey with your family.
By the way, you're cut.
Wait, let's not even put him on the team yet. What deal are they going to come up with for him? Like, how much money are they going to realistically give him?
I'm guessing the Raiders are still going to have to pay him some money no matter what happens.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to be enough for this season where the Raiders Patriots could literally be, hey, you know what? Here's a few million for the season. You're already getting $15 million from the Raiders for the season. Might as well just come play, try to win, and show people that you still have it. Like you said, it didn't matter what team you were on, so you might as well prove it. But there's also been talks that he might not play for the Raiders, let alone in the NFL. So who knows?
I'll say it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm so grateful that the Jets did not trade for this guy, and they were smart enough to just do their due diligence because they had to, and they let him go. They didn't give him anything after that.
Yep, I was on board with you for that one. It was definitely not a good move for the Jets. I was 100% on board with you, and it was a blessing in disguise for the Steelers. They have a fresh slate. The drama. For now, the drama is no longer. For now, we'll see how the season falls out. But the Steelers, was a blessing in disguise. They got a huge weight lifted off their shoulders with this. And like I just said, like how Jeremy Fowler put it, he didn't realize how good he had it in Pittsburgh. And now he's starting to realize that he might not even be on a team by Sunday because Raiders could very easily cut him after all this. The GM of the Raiders, very old school guy, no nonsense guy. He's not going to put up with this. And you know it's bad when the man that almost ended your career in a playoff game, Vontaze Burfict, is the one that has to hold you back. And reportedly, he was the one that held back Antonio. When Vontaze Burfict is the voice of reason, you know you're an issue. And then when O.J.
Simpson,
there we go.
Well, that was just his fantasy team. O.J. Simpson drafted Andrew Luck and Antonio Brown.
Yeah, really.
But no, see, the thing about fantasy is I had Antonio Brown in one of my leagues, and I didn't know what to do. Do I hold on to him? Do I try to get rid of him? It's not looking good. It's looking like he's not.
You know what you do? You don't draft him. That's what you do.
Yeah, you should have never drafted him. Okay. In our league, I saw him like no way I'm picking
I wouldn't have cared. I wouldn't have cared if he was there in the 10th round. I was not touching him.
That's just stupidity.
I wouldn't have touched him.
Out of you, Ringo.
It's not stupidity.
What
position are you in right now?
Tom,
what position are you in right now?
Play.
Yeah, that's great. But if he could produce.
But right now, he might not even produce. He's more likely to not even play than produce.
Well, no, this is correct.
He can't even put on a helmet right now.
Just stop.
My draft was right now. Like, after the show, we had a draft. I would stay away from him the whole
draft. I would take him
draft.
in the later rounds.
I would stay with the whole draft. I'd stay
anyway, going into...
I let him go undrafted. I don't care.
I let someone else deal with him. Not my problem. Not my chair. Now, what I like to say, not my chair, not my problem.
Okay, Chairmeister.
Yep.
Okay. King of the trees, the tree meister.
Okay, so... I went into last night thinking, all right, I got to get rid of this guy. Went out, scouted out the area, came up with a trade. I traded Antonio Brown, unless it gets voided by everyone else.
Oh, you did make that trade.
So Antonio Brown and Tom Brady, because I have Phillip Rivers and Deshaun Watson as well.
Why do you have so many quarterbacks?
Because they're in the 13th, 14th round. I'm going to pick them up and use them as trade chips.
Trade bait?
Yeah. Just like
usually that doesn't work. Surprised that works. Like if you have an extra quarterback. I had Matt Ryan last year, who was the third best fantasy quarterback. I couldn't trade him.
So I traded Antonio Brown and Tom Brady for Lockett and D.D. Westbrook. Obviously, if Antonio Brown plays 15, 16 games, that's a bad trade on my part unless Lockett goes off. But right now, it's looking like fair
Would you
deal.
get D.D.,
it's a good trade.
Lockett, and who?
No, just 2 and 2.
Okay.
Brady and Brown.
That might work. That might work to your favor.
So plus, I don't want to root for the guy. I do not want to root for Antonio Brown. So I wanted him off the team before yesterday even happened, but I wouldn't be able.
Why'd you pick him if you wanted him off your team?
Because I picked him because I'm like, all right, 3rd round, Antonio Brown. I got Odell Beckham Jr. My wide receivers are looking good because we're in a 3 wide receiver league.
There's
For some
no
reason,
excuse.
It doesn't make much sense to me why we're in a 3 wide receiver league.
This isn't our league. This isn't our league.
We're in a 3 wide receiver league.
Yeah, I know we are.
Yeah.
You're talking about your other league, right?
Yes, I'm talking about my other league.
When you said 3 wide receiver league, it sounded like you were talking to Ringle.
Oh, no. No. I also want to make sense that he knows it doesn't make sense.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Because when you said that, I'm like, wait, these are 2 different leagues. I thought you were still like, I thought you could. Never mind.
No, I just no 3 wide receiver league makes sense to me. You have flex positions. Use the flex positions instead.
Antonio, this just
but then you could use flex position for a running back.
Yes, use a flex position for a running back.
That's what I did in our
or a
league.
Receiver.
No,
we have 3 wide receivers.
There's a lot of receivers. There's a lot of receivers to go around, so I like the 3rd wide receiver slot.
I don't mind the 3rd wide receiver slot.
I mind it. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, if we go to 14 people, then I would mind it.
No, just
12 is kind of
just
my breaking point.
12's the max. You go to
This just in. Unhappy with his fine, Antonio Brown initiated the exchange with Mike Mayock that included disparaging language.
Okay, so how is that just that
he started the fight.
We didn't expect that?
No, we expected it, but it's like confirmed. Like,
I don't think Mike Mayock's going up to Antonio Brown. Hey, you sack of garbage! You guys saw that picture.
But now we know how it started. Like, we didn't know. Like, was it just like a casual conversation that escalated?
It's possible Mayock called him in and said like, "What was like? You shouldn't have put that out on social media."
I don't think Mayock's going out to look for a fight where people have to be held back. Mayock's probably going to hold him stern and say that you should not be posting that online. I know what you did with the Steelers and like to do Facebook Live, but don't post our stuff on Instagram, on Twitter, whatever.
Facebook Live was the start to a war. And little did we know back in 2016. Little did we know in 2016 it was the start of like the end of Antonio Brown. potentially the end of Antonio Brown was that Facebook Live. As he's on Facebook Live, you can hear Mike Tomlin in the background saying, let's not do anything stupid on social media, while he's saying, God knows, we all know what he said on Facebook Live.
Let's not do anything social media.
Yep.
He's showing.
Hey, Mike, you're on social media right now. Say hi.
Coach, say hi to my fans.
Okay, he's got a
It's unbelievable.
And then what happened that next week? They went to New England on the AFC Championship game and got destroyed. Absolutely murdered.
Karma's a funny thing.
Yeah, they got obliterated that game. Receivers on the Patriots were open 90 yards down the field. Antonio Brown, I think, was a no-show that game. Not like he didn't show up. He just wasn't.
I would not have been surprised he didn't show up.
Yeah,
Look what he did last year with the most important
against
game.
the Bengals, yeah. He didn't show up.
So, but there's also more NFL news going on. Jared Goff, quarterback of the Rams. How do we all feel about him? You all right with Jared Goff?
I think he's. It's easy for me to say this. For me, what I'm about to say after I say this.
You're in the castle. You had Ben Roethlisberger.
It's easy for me to say this because of what he did in the Super Bowl. I think he's good. I don't think he can win in the big moments. But that's just easy for me to say because of what happened in the Super Bowl.
I was gonna say that.
The outside.
I think it's a small sample size. It's
Yeah.
a huge.
I think he might have problems winning
instance,
in big games.
But I was gonna say Jared Goff, Rams quarterback, signed a 4-year, $134 million extension that includes an NFL record, $110 million guaranteed.
I think he's a good quarterback.
That ties
100%.
him to LA through 2024, per Adam Schefter. So, I think the Rams did what they needed to do.
Yep, 100%.
As we always talk about on the show, you get the quarterback, and you have to keep him if he could be your franchise quarterback, which I believe Jared Goff could be. A lot of people are not on Jared Goff's side. They do not like him. I don't see why, because he makes the throws.
I like him too.
Yeah, he's a good
I was going to say,
quarterback.
I think he's a good quarterback. I would take him on the Giants, but obviously that's because we got a little quarterback situation going on ourselves. But I don't know why a lot of teams would hate him. I know Ringo right now has Sam Darnold, but before Sam Darnold, how'd you feel about him, Ringo? Would you take him?
I mean, he had the off rookie season, but then he came into his own last year, and he looked really good. I would take him in a heart if I didn't have Sam Darnold. Obviously, I would 100%.
Rookie year, a good sophomore year. Wasn't last year his junior year?
Yeah,
Was it?
I think that was
his
that
third
year.
year.
Yeah,
It
that
had
was.
to be.
Yep.
Yes,
he,
it was.
Rookie year was.
You're right.
And then
You're right.
He's just been improving uphill. Not uphill, but
He's on the uptrend. He's on the uptrend. So this year is about winning in the big moments for him.
Yep. Well, he did prove that up until the Super Bowl.
I was going to say, if you win in the postseason, the playoffs before the Super Bowl, you're obviously winning in the big games. It's just he did not close it.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because
The big game.
What was his numbers in the Super Bowl?
it was awful.
He did have to go up against Bill Belichick and the Patriots, so he did have a tough matchup.
Yeah.
Hey, Nick Foles did it.
Well, that's
Nick
very
Foles,
true.
Foles is Nick Foles.
It's very true.
People got to put some respect
Goff
on
was
his name.
19 for 38, 229 yards, no touchdowns.
How many interceptions?
This is not this brief thing I'm looking at is not showing me, but I don't think he threw one. I want to say
So, but as Ringo said, and Jordan touched on, it's the Patriots.
yeah.
Look what the Falcons did to the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They thought they were riding their high horse. What were they up 28-3 by half? And as quickly as that happened, they lost in overtime. So,
I'll give Jared Goff one pick that game, one pick.
Yeah.
And then I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because Ben Roethlisberger against the Seahawks in his first Super Bowl, despite them winning it, was awful. He was awful. He did have a rushing touchdown, but that's about it. It was really the defense and Willie Parker winning the game, and then Antoine Randall L threw a touchdown.
Randall Cobb, jeez.
Antoine Randall L threw a touchdown to Hines Ward. Willie Parker ran in like a 70-yard touchdown, and the defense played great. So add those three things, and you can kind of deal with a subpar quarterback performance. So Ben had a bad first Super Bowl, but look how Ben's turned out. So you can give Jared Goff the benefit of the doubt.
Well, what do I always say? What do I always say about how to win a Super Bowl? What the trend is
You
most
can just
likely.
get a quarterback that's serviceable, but you need a top defense, as Ringo
The Rams
would like
defense
to
did
say.
play very good.
Yes.
Brady didn't have a great game either.
Yeah, well, they hold him
No,
to
it's
13
true.
points.
It's true.
13.
You don't
13 to
need
3, right?
need an elite quarterback. You don't need an elite quarterback, and you don't need elite play by the quarterback. Tom Brady had 500 yards in the Super Bowl that he lost.
They just needed a stop on defense.
Yeah. Defense wins championships. I'm a firm believer in that.
You can win a Super Bowl with a serviceable quarterback and a good defense. It's been the case for
100%.
For the longest
100%.
time.
There's a huge trend in that.
Like, you don't need if you have like the Bears defense and you have Landry Jones as your quarterback, you're not winning.
Yes, that's not a serviceable quarterback.
Petty, yeah, we're not saying that. Okay. Like Alex Smith with the Bears defense could win.
100%.
Right?
100%. 100%.
Just when Alex was on those Chiefs teams, that Chiefs defense wasn't that good.
So
I'm not saying they will win. I'm not saying they will win. We're just saying they could win.
Yeah, they could.
Yes.
Yeah.
But do we realize that usually when we have the quarterbacks who aren't going to win it for you, but you can win with them, they always call them one nickname. They're the game manager.
They get the game
Alex
manager.
Smith, what a game manager.
Yeah,
he's just going to throw like 10 to 15 yards. What a game manager.
A game manager.
He's a game manager.
I don't think they care.
No, are you making millions playing the NFL? No, I don't think they care what you call them, what nickname you give them.
Call me a woman. I don't care. I'm making that much money.
Oh, man. So Twitter also had a tweet that surprised me a little bit about the NFL rosters. It was at Jason_OTC tweeted out that the 2019 NFL rosters by original draft slot are made up of round 1, 14.3%, round 2, 11, round 3, 11.1, round 4, 9.9, round 5, 8.6, round 6, 8.4, round 7, 5.7. And if our math serves us correctly, that's not 100% because the NFL rosters are made up of 30.9% of undrafted free agents.
I can believe it's crazy stat, but I can believe it.
I can believe it too, just because there's so many of them.
I can believe it too. Yeah.
Obviously, there's only around 30 in round 1, so
and you're not going to have a bunch of first rounders on the bench, really. And the bench is mainly made up of guys that weren't drafted or were really late drafted.
And then special teams is a whole group of them that are not.
They also
starters in that respect. There's a couple of starters in special teams, but special teams is where people who are trying to make the team find their niche. So
there's also like a bigger player pool from the undrafted free agents because after the draft, teams. Did you just say that?
That's a great point.
I think Tom just said that.
I was half listening. I was looking something up at the time.
Tom just said that. I looked at Tom like I think Tom just said that.
I apologize.
Great point. It's okay.
It's all right. Yeah, but there's more. There's a lot less for starters on a team than there are backups, and the backups are not usually first round picks. The backups are usually undrafted late round pick guys. So I can.
Let me get to more specifically working off of what Tom said. Now I don't know if he said this exact thing, so I'm just going to say it anyways. That a lot of teams sign a lot of undrafted guys after the draft, obviously, and it's usually like in the 10s or 20s of guys, and they're all trying to make the team and whatnot. Where you have your like really like 6 to 10 draft picks that you have out of the draft, so you do have more undrafted guys on the team than drafted. Yeah. I don't know if Tom said that exactly.
That tweet did surprise me at first at first glance, but then once you start to think about it, it does make sense to it.
Yeah.
So before we get off of NFL, I just wanted to quickly touch on this because a lot of New York media and New York Giant fans and just any fan of the NFL around the country just are not fans of Odell Beckham Jr. But I saw a tweet, and it really is like, you know what, this is exactly right. AB is what the New York media tried to portray OBJ as.
I did see that tweet. I can agree with it and disagree with it because Odell had his problems
on the field,
and he was an idiot a lot. But he's no Antonio Brown.
No, he is not.
Yeah. He is an idiot, Odell.
I'm still a fan of him.
He did do a lot of stupid stuff. He did do a lot of stupid stuff. He did say a lot of stupid stuff, even when he wasn't on the Giants. But he's no Antonio Brown.
No, and that's what I'm saying is a lot of the Giants fans are like, oh, good, I'm glad he's in Cleveland. I hope he just does horribly, this and that. And I'm like, I don't see it. I'm a fan of Odell Beckham Jr.,
even after he trashed the organization when he left.
Yeah.
And kind of didn't defend his quarterback when he was on the team.
Just because someone's worse doesn't make you better.
No, no, obviously it does not. But what I'm saying is people said what he did was so bad it was to the magnitude of what Antonio Brown's doing. That's what I'm trying to say is, yes, Antonio Brown's worse, but they try to make Odell Beckham Jr. look like he did all these things that would make him equal in the sense that they're two different complete people and they're two different situations as a whole. They try to.
No, I agree with you that they're not equal, but that doesn't make.
No, it doesn't make what he did right.
That doesn't give ODB an excuse.
But they're saying like he spilled some water on the carpet and they blew it up like he put a baseball through the window. If we're talking,
no, he was a distraction on the field, and they made it out to it. He was a distraction on the field.
Yeah, but they also then made it out like he was toxic in the locker room and that he was a horrible teammate. But no,
he probably was.
But everyone in the Giants locker room said no. Great guy.
Tom, let me ask you a question. Do you like that he got traded?
Do I like that he got traded? No, I do not like that he got traded.
I disagree with you. I disagree with you. I think it's a good thing the Giants got rid of him because they're they're in a rebuild situation, and OBJ's ego would not last back-to-back 4-win seasons right now. He's just not lasting that. And what's the point of keeping him aging on the roster for if this team gets good, then he'll be ready to compete. He's never going to make it there. He's never going to make it there.
So look at the Rangers, the New York Rangers. They dropped everybody that they had during those big runs for the past 8 years. They're in a rebuild, so why they're not going to keep these guys around? Odell was one of them. They're not going to keep Odell around during this big rebuild. They're not going to overpay. They're not going to overpay for their safety, Landon Collins, during this rebuild. They're going to start from scratch. They got Jabril Peppers, a younger safety that they can make part of the rebuild.
And here we go with our shows before the NFL season kicked off, and our shows before we left Farmingdale, and when free agency just hit. I understand that, and I would completely agree with you if the Giants were in a rebuild, a complete rebuild, and they came out and said that. But guess what? Their actions are not speaking rebuild.
The one thing I could think of off the top of my head was the Golden Tate signing. That was weird.
And then I know you need at least two safeties, so you need Bethea out there, but you signed a 30-plus.
It's contradicting, but the more I look at it now, those are just 1 or 2 year deal guys. They're not going to have them on the team for more than 3 to 5 years.
I can understand because Bethea will be a year or two just to have a safety back there that's capable. Yeah. Golden Tate was a 4-year deal.
I was going to say Golden Tate was 1 or 2.
Yes. Well, no, I'm not telling you it is a 1 or 2. I'm saying those should have been 1 or 2 year deal. And
one of them wasn't.
So signing the person Golden Tate isn't a bad idea, but the fact that it was a 4-year deal is the alarming, contradicting move that the Giants made.
Yes,
signing Golden Tate as a person, as a contract, the 4-year deal, I don't mind it at all. Just because I like Golden Tate and I think he's a good receiver, but I don't like it when people are saying that we're in a rebuild. Okay, that's fine. Then don't sign them. That's where it becomes a problem. If they say, you know what, we're going to try to win, we're just going to try to be competitive, okay, sign them. But then you're in a rebuild and you're spending 4 years on them. That's where
people don't have to say that you're in a rebuild. You just got to look at the roster and know that you're in a rebuild.
But then you have Dave Gettleman doing things that contradicts it. It's like people were going to think the Mets are in a rebuild, and then Brody Van Wagen did all that stuff, and he literally said, no, we're going to compete. Brody Van Wagen didn't have to come out and say we were going to compete. His actions showed it. So Dave Gettleman
not entirely, not entirely at all. He at the time he made the moves that he thought he was going to make to just make this team better. He did not have the moves did not say, oh wow, the Mets are serious World Series. They just improved the team. He had to come out and put a bigger name on it and put more pressure on this team and on himself and on everyone. And he made this the circus that what it is right now. He did this. Yeah. He did not. You don't see what the Mets did. You don't see what the Mets did last year. Yes, they added Ramos. Yes, they obviously got Cano and Diaz, and they did, but that doesn't mean that they're a World Series contender just by looking at the moves.
No one said they were a World Series contender.
You just said that. You just said Brody didn't have to.
Compete. They wanted to compete. That's it. Being in a rebuild, you're not competing. Well, you're competing technically on the field.
By Brody making those moves, you could just say, oh, they got better. But then when he comes out and opens his big mouth all offseason, then it's like, okay, now I guess they're a contender.
There's different stages of the rebuild. The Giants are in the early stages of the rebuild. The Mets, they weren't it's a different situation. They weren't technically rebuilding, but they were. Let's just say they were in a later stage of the rebuild where they're adding final pieces and whatnot, and hopefully the year or the year after they're ready to go. You know what I'm saying? It's different. A rebuild takes 2 to 4 years, depending on what goes right, what goes wrong.
2 to 4. Some people are in rebuild for 15 years.
I was about to say, that's depending on the organization.
Rebuild for a half a month.
If you have a good organization, you do it right, like the Rangers. The Rangers are doing a great job right now. If you're in an organization like the Islanders, it takes 55 years.
So
I know. Yes, I know. Obviously, with those, yes.
If you're like the Jets,
I'm talking about
60 years.
I'm talking about having no wins to just making the playoffs and being competitive. But to get a championship team, teams take 10 to 15 years. And there's this just in news from Josina Anderson from ESPN.
I'm going to say the same thing I just said before. Because it was Josina Anderson that reported it.
Did you use the word
he
said?
Let's see. Ringo,
what is it?
Us.
Oh, no, I can't do this again. I don't want to say that.
Ringo, go ahead.
I don't want to say it now. No, it literally just got tweeted out, so I don't
Ringo,
think.
So do it.
I don't think it is.
Okay.
Was it about the word that Antonio Brown used to call Mike Mayock?
No, we did. All right, then you're good.
Then you're fine.
I got Josina Anderson saying that he started the fight. I didn't get the word. I didn't get any language.
Okay, well, I guess this is elaborating on that, but
expanding.
I could say it. It's not that bad. But AB called Mayock a cracker and used other curse words during the exchange.
What are we in 1907?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I love it. If I was in that locker room and I just hear him yell at Mike Mayock, "Ew, you're a cracker," I am done.
Call him a cracker?
Now that this is public, this guy has to be cut. I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't. Oh my God, that's the thing though. Oh,
it should have been cut before this got public, but now that your team's getting embarrassed, even
my
more.
girlfriend calls me a cracker every week. All right.
A cracker.
You're in a bad relationship.
Yeah. A cracker. Wow. I can only imagine how that went.
Oh God. I was gonna say it depends where Mike Mayock grew up if he takes kindly to that or not. So I was gonna say. Cracker. Oh,
Cracker.
Boy.
Cracker
that's
barrel.
it. Antonio Brown sentenced to life.
Yeah,
How dare he?
He's got to be gone by Sunday. He can't be on that team Sunday. Monday. They play Monday.
Another little news that just broke, too, per Pro Football Talk. The
Mike
Chiefs
Mayock
and Tyreek Hill. The Chiefs and The Chiefs and Tyreek Hill have a 3-year, $54 million extension.
Okay.
Right, I thought you were going to say something's going on with him.
See what
That's
happens in
another
life when you
receiver
beat
of
your
mine.
kids and you beat your wife. You get money.
Yeah,
for it.
yeah.
I was going to say now Kareem
you want
Hunt
to know something though? You want to know something though? I don't know the full situation of Tyreek Hill. Obviously, I know part of it. But if they were willing to just cut Kareem Hunt right away because Kareem Hunt lied to them and did whatever.
Video of it. That's why.
I know.
Now we're touching on some things. When you can't definitively say, "Oh no, he didn't do it," and your back's against the wall, and they do something only because their back's against the wall, that just shows it's a business. All right, that's it. If
no, he didn't know.
Video of Tyreek
no, but
Hill,
they did.
You'd be caught.
Yeah, exactly. It's
because they can't defend him.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Video. If there was no Kareem Hunt video, he'd still be around.
But that's where you're wrong. The Chiefs did not cut Kareem Hunt because of what he did. They cut him because they lied. Because he lied to the team. So,
but they're saying that because they didn't know there was a video, and then they were surprised by the video. So
I don't believe that.
But if Kareem Hunt said, "Yeah, there's a video out," they still might have cut him.
If I
don't
Kareem
believe that
Hunt,
because
there's a video of him just beating up that woman. He ran full speed and drop kicked her or whatever.
The Chiefs came out. The Chiefs came out and said Kareem, what Kareem Hunt did was wrong, and he apologized, and if he apologizes, and if he would have been honest with them from the start, and he admitted what he was wrong, and he was on the path to being a better person, they would back him up 100% because that's what organizations do for their players. They came out and said that, and then they cut him the next day or something because they found out that there was more to the story and Kareem Hunt didn't give them the total truth, and that's why he got cut. So now, judging this Tyreek Hill, I'm assuming, I don't know anything, but if Tyreek Hill, if he laid everything out on the table and they're backing him up, whether it's true or not, you just have to believe that I just have the confidence in them, in the Chiefs, to give Tyreek Hill the benefit of the doubt, and possibly they could be on the right side of this. But I don't know.
You got that off your chest? It's a long one.
He had a lot to say about that bad boy.
Do you understand what I'm trying to say, though?
Yes, it was a long one. We got you.
I don't know. I was in REM sleep there. At
It's
the
like
end
it's the same. It's very similar to the DeMarcus Cousins thing because both of them have got audio leaked of them threatening their either significant other or their kid. Right? DeMarcus Cousins got caught with leaked audio of him threatening his wife or girlfriend.
Put a bullet in her head.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, DeMarcus. That's nice. Idiot. And then Kareem Hunt got caught on audio saying that he's beaten his wife and kid or girlfriend and kid.
Oh no. You mean Tyreek Hill?
Well, yeah, not Kareem Hunt. Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt was the actual video of him doing it in the hotel.
Yeah.
Hunt had the video. Hill and Boogie Cousins had audio.
It's amazing what you can get away with when you're good at sports.
I know.
And that's only because you said
I know. I'm still not fully defending.
If they were not good at sports, they would have been cut and
never be in the league again.
I'm just saying I respected the Chiefs' decision with Kareem Hunt and how they handled it, so I'm giving them a little confidence with this. But they could still be on the wrong side of things. But I just going into it from the outside, I think I give them a little confidence.
And then Ringo, didn't you say that you were surprised I took Hill over somebody in our draft?
Yeah, you took Hill over Julio Jones.
Yeah, Alec has Julio Jones and DeAndre Hopkins as his two wide. That's insane.
Yeah, but Hill
because of you, Tom.
Because of you.
I have two.
Julio might not play actually.
I was gonna say I have two great wide receivers too, but that's what I was gonna say. Julio is an injury chance, and his touchdowns are here and there. So I'm going Tyreek Hill. Why wouldn't I go Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill is probably rated over Julio Jones.
It's not a bad move.
Yeah,
but
Tyreek Hill is probably rated over. Yeah. Okay, great. I have Hill and Michael Thomas.
But here we go. The thing about Julio now, he is nursing an injury that he was going to play with on Sunday, but his contract talks haven't been going well. So now he might not play Sunday because he doesn't want to play with an injury with no contract.
Yeah, nor should he. That I can understand. That I am okay with.
He's already hurt. You got to give me time to think about that.
But no, because you're saying that if you go on that field, you have a high % chance of re-aggravating it. Don't go on that field if you're in contract talks, because then you're going to lose out on millions of dollars. But if you can get healthy over the weeks and then get back to the field, you do that. 100%.
Isn't he adamant? Isn't he adamant about not holding out?
What do you say?
Isn't he adamant about not holding out? Doesn't he not want to hold out? Doesn't he still want to play even though
he's hurt? So that's why he might not play. If he wasn't hurt, he would have played.
But
Sunday.
He's also not saying that he might not play the season or a lot of games because of the contract talks and he's hurt. He's just saying he'll probably wait until he gets 100% and then get back on that field. So that is completely within reason in my mind.
No, I agree with you, Tom, because he doesn't have the intention of holding out just because he's in contract talks like other players.
Yeah.
As in most recently Zeke and stuff like that.
You see it all over sports, NBA, MLB, NFL. It doesn't matter that people will miss games because they're hurt and they don't want to, hamstrings. Oh, I don't want to re-aggravate my hamstring. I'm going to sit out this game. And so now add on to the fact that he's in contract talks and he needs to, show that he still has it and can get some money his way. Yeah, sit out. Make sure you're 100%.
He was going to play, I'm pretty sure, with the injury because I saw the other day that contract talks were ready to to end and they were going to make a deal.
It was right after the Zeke deal. His stuff came out that they were very, very close.
Yeah, they were very,
something
very
like
close,
that.
and he was going to play. But then with the nagging injury, he was going to play. But now that there's nothing really going on with a contract, and he's still nursing an injury, he's like, I can agree with that.
All right,
I can agree with that.
We got around 5-10 minutes left here.
5-10. We have 12.
5, 10. That's around that. So quickly, before we get into maybe a little bit of baseball, to finish up our football talks for this week, we're gonna make our draft picks. So Ringo and Jordan,
we do it on the fly.
We do it, Ringo. Just so you know, you're new around here on these bad boys. We do it on ESPN.
Ringo, you're new around here on these bad boys.
Yeah. So we do it on ESPN, and you let us know who you're picking and the spread. And we'll do one team at a time. We'll go around. We'll pick 3 games. So Ringo and Jordan are 1-0 on the season because of the Packers covering the spread and beating the Bears by 7. So, Ringo, would you like to start us off since it is your first pick? Go right ahead. Who do you have? What is the spread?
I guess I'll start off. I'll do Broncos -2 against the
Broncos
Raiders.
-2 against the Raiders. That is a game I would not touch. All right, Jordan. Who are you going with?
I'll go with the Chiefs to win by more than 3.5. Chiefs are -3.5.
Okay. And who are they versing?
The Jaguars on the road.
On the road.
Chiefs are on the road.
Okay. All right. Very nice. Very cool. Very swag. I like
What do you got,
it.
Tom?
All right. So a couple of my games, the spread is a little high, but I'm going with it to see what we got here. I'm going to go Ravens over the Dolphins.
I like that one.
Yep, Ravens going -6.5. So
Since
Ravens.
me and Ringo didn't have predetermined picks, I guess we can't take your picks that you announced, so we have to just keep going on the fly.
Well, I didn't have predetermined picks either.
We all have to pick different picks. This is how this is
Wait,
working.
you're doing this on the fly too?
Yeah.
Oh, we're all doing it on the fly. Okay.
Yeah, so.
All right. So who's up now? Ringo's back up.
Yep, Ringo, you are up.
All right, I'll do Chargers -6.5 over the Colts.
Oh man, that's an interesting. Ringo's 2 games. I don't know because there's.
I shouldn't do this one, but
Chargers -6.
they know what they say. Don't bet with your heart.
All right, go with the Steelers, Jordan. Let's hear
Steelers are. Patriots are favored to win by more than 5.5. I'm picking the Steelers.
it. Steelers +5.5.
Steelers +5.5.
All right. I am going to go Browns Titans.
Knew it. I knew it. I knew it.
Browns -5.5.
Yeah, Tom picked his third-round quarterback, right? Baker. Did you pick Baker like third round?
Baker Mayfield.
Baker
No, I
Mayfield
picked,
fourth
no.
round.
No,
You picked him early.
I did not pick him early.
Yeah, you did.
He was literally one of the not last quarterbacks to go.
No.
The quarterbacks went
I don't
before
remember
him.
that. I don't remember that. I'm gonna look now.
Okay, well, Ringo, you're up for your last game.
I'm going to go Rams -2 against the Panthers.
That's a good one.
So you picked him round 6, and after him were Russell Wilson, me, Jared Goff.
Wait, what round did you pick Russell Wilson?
7th, but it's Russell Wilson.
Okay, that's great. Russell Wilson.
You picked a rookie. You picked after his rookie season in his sophomore year in the 6th round.
Yeah, it's a stretch.
It's a risk.
It's a
It's a risk.
No one's saying it's not a risk.
Before
It is a
Russell
risk.
Wilson, before Ben, before Cam Newton, before Philip Rivers. Even though I don't like Phil Rivers,
The only one on there that's questionable in my mind is
don't
Cam
say
Newton.
Ben. All right, that was gonna kill you.
Is who?
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton
He's
before
like,
Baker.
He's like really
Yeah,
weird to me.
but- and it's also
I can't
like-
get a read on Cam.
No, I
Newton.
can't either. Injuries. Some games he's at 6 points. Some games he's 30.
Yeah,
so it's hard with
Yeah.
him. He's not consistent.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. That's the way to put it.
Okay.
Ringo, did you just make a pick?
Yeah,
Am I
so
up?
you're up. Ringo
I'm up.
went Rams -2.
Oh. I'm gonna. I think they might win that game. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm gonna stay away from that one. I was gonna pick the Bills to beat the Jets, but I think the Jets might win that game.
No, they don't even have to. They don't even have to beat the
They
Jets.
just have to lose by less than 3.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, this is like,
The Lions are -2.5 against the Cardinals. I'll take the Lions to beat the Cardinals by more than 2.5.
Oh God, I would stay away from that game. I don't know what's going to happen
Cardinals
there.
are awful.
So you
I
got
know,
Lions
but-
-2.5.
No, I take it back. Nope, I take it back. I'm not doing that game.
No, it's in.
No, it's not in. It's not in. No, it's not in.
It's good.
It's official.
It's not in.
It gets tough if we're not picking the same games.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we all have to
I
pick
think-
different.
Yeah, I like picking different games because we could all just jump on the Ravens over the Dolphins.
I was gonna say, yeah, our records are gonna be vastly different.
Ravens got no.
Yeah.
That's why I picked Mark Ingram because Ravens aren't throwing the ball at all. So Mark
Ingram, there's a lot of talk. I mean, I know it's just talk, but there's a lot of talk that he could lose his job. This Justice Hill guy is getting a lot of praise. I know. I mean,
He's
I have no.
flex.
Yeah, but it obviously like it's
But
not a
even if
guarantee.
It's
But
be, like the Saints, maybe a little, Kamara, Ingram, sort of 2 running back sort of thing.
Eagles are 10-point favorites.
yeah, the Redskins are bad.
All right, can I?
Who's their quarterback? Case Keenum.
I think
Right?
so, actually.
No, I'm
Yeah.
serious. It's Case Keenum.
Yeah, it is. It's
Screw it,
Case
give me
Keenum.
the Lions game again. I'm going back to the Lions.
Lions minus
Oh,
1.
Lions to win by more than 2.5 on the road.
He's back. He just likes the low spread. Jordan, wait, there's a game on here that I think you should have picked, but I'll wait for Tom to go.
All right. I'm going Giants plus 7.
Giants plus 7.
All my spreads are
All three of your
my
picks.
spreads are horrible. My spreads are not good.
All three of you. No, I'm not talking about the spreads. I'm just talking about you and like you as a person. All of them were Tom picks.
Okay, the
You
Browns
got
and the Giants one I can understand. What about the Ravens? Why is that?
I like Lamar Jackson. I know you like Lamar Jackson.
I actually hate him. He can't hold on to
You
the ball
really?
to save his life. Why would I like him?
I don't know. I feel like that's a you guy.
No,
I guess I was
I'm
wrong.
not a Lamar Jackson type of guy.
Wait, are we done with the picks? Everyone had 3?
Yes.
Jordan, I think you should have went the Bucks minus 1.5 over the 49ers.
I was looking at that, but I'm thinking, you know what? I don't like Jameis Winston. The Bucks, that's
Oh,
questionable.
but you got a little Bruce Arians to give you a little.
You know, he'll will him across the finish line. I can understand that.
Yeah. It's only 1.5, so it's worth a shot in my opinion.
Yeah.
I would have done that over the Lions pick.
Okay, so all our picks are
big
in.
Lions guy.
So I don't think we have one Monday game. I think Ringo picked one Monday game, I believe. If that is correct.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but Monday we'll tell the records before that game, and then we'll recap it again next week and do our picks again. But before we get off, we'll just touch on a little bit of baseball. So the Mets just had a road. Well, it wasn't just a road series. There was a couple of them. It was the Phillies and the Nationals. So they had a road stint, and they needed to go 6-0 or 5-1 at the very least. Yeah. And they went 4-2, which, you know, if this was April, if this was June, that's okay, that's cool. We'll take it. 4-2, that's winning. You know, you won both series. That's nice. But guess what? We're in September now. We can't take 4-2. We needed the 6-0 and 5-1. And looking at the games, could they have went 6-0? Absolutely. Could they have went 5-1? 274
100% they could have went 5-1.
And what game are we talking about, Ringo? Go ahead. You could touch on it, because if I do, I'll probably get a little bit louder, and we don't need that. So go
3.5 minutes here.
Go ahead, Ringo. Touch on it quick.
Tuesday night, I put my shoes on. I walked out of my house.
We have 3.5 minutes, Ringo. We don't need your life story.
No, I'm telling you. And I laid down in the middle of the street.
Well,
the Schmets were up 6 runs after a 5-run top half of the inning. The Schmets are up 6 runs in the 9th, and they lost 11-6 in the 9th.
Yes,
after a complete.
In this season of the MLB, 274 other teams took a 6+ run lead into the bottom of the 9th, and they won. They are 274-0. Now, after that game, it is 274-1.
Yep, that is definitely not a game you lose. That is
LFGM, am I right, Tom?
Yeah, Ringo, you're right. Okay, I'll stand by it. I will stand by it.
Yeah,
you haven't been.
A 5-1 is a lot different than 4-2, even though it's
but
one game.
But not only that, they could have went 6-0 because of the game against the Phillies. It was 2-2 in the bottom of the 8th.
Familia, the next half of the inning, blew it.
Okay,
so we talked about it. We talked about it last show that beating a team 3-0 in a sweep versus a 2-1 is a huge 2-game swing, even though it's only a one game difference of a win or a loss.
So it's not looking good for the wild card chances. If
5 out now, and the Cubs are playing really good.
Yep. So unless the Cubs could catch the Cardinals and the Cardinals go on a backslide, I don't know. We could see what's happening, but I also see the Nationals. The Nationals are struggling a little bit, and they got a series against the Braves.
6-4 in the last 10. Lost their last 2. They just lost to the Braves.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I believe.
So the Braves are obviously a great team right now. So it looks like the Nationals are going to have a hard couple more games against them. And the Mets start their series against the Phillies, who they also are 1 game behind. So these...
And it's crazy that the Mets play good against the Phillies and Nationals. They usually beat them this year. And the thing is, the games they lose,
they should win.
They should win, and they're just monumental losses. They're so they'll win 3 or 4, but that one loss out of those 4 means so much more than those 3. It's crazy that these past couple series that they've won, but they're still 5 games back.
They feel like
they can't
losses.
Get that sweep.
They feel like losses.
Yeah, you feel like you're losing the series.
And not only that, they're not getting help around the
league. After Tuesday, even though they won that series, you got to feel like you got swept.
Yeah,
that's how it felt.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable how they
also read something that if the Mets didn't blow it open and it wasn't 10-4, or if it wasn't 10-4 and it was actually still 6-4, and they left Lugo in there, they probably would have won. And honestly,
That's a stretch.
obviously it's a stretch and it's an if that. No
the
one
guys
cares.
they brought in.
But it's funny to think about that.
Yeah, it is.
That they had a better chance to win.
Up 2 than up 6.
So, yeah, obviously it
They
doesn't
bring in the
matter.
idiots,
It's over.
the clown
I'm not
show.
saying it as a Mets fan, like, oh, they should have. Blah, blah. No, I'm just saying as it's funny to think about that if they left Lugo in there up 6-4, they might have won. It would have been a
I'm
lot
still not
better
knocking
chance.
the move. Like you have to think giving
Yeah,
Edwin Diaz a
obviously,
6-1 lead is good enough.
You would think. So, but
You would
Mets
think,
start
but it
their
just
series
obviously
against the Phillies,
Yep.
Yankees and Red Sox.
The Yankees
tonight.
are just in cruise control right now. Yankees are 8-2 in their last 10. They
I
have,
was
I
gonna say
think they're the best team in the league.
The Yankees
Yeah.
blow a 6-run lead in the bottom of the ninth. They're not losing an ounce of sleep over it.
That would be a little upsetting, but
Yeah, it would be upsetting, but nothing.
yeah, Yankees have the best record in the league right now. They're just in cruise control to the end of the year. They open up a 4-game weekend set in Boston. Boston is kind of hanging on for dear life. They're, I think, 5.5 or 6.5 out of the wild card after a game-ending play at the plate yesterday against Minnesota at home. Devers got thrown out at home for the Red Sox to lose. It's not looking good for the Red Sox. Red Sox need it, like the same thing as the Mets. Red Sox need to sweep the Yankees 4 games to get back in this wild card.
Yeah.
But the Yankees are in cruise control. The Mets are holding on for dear life. They need sweeps, the Mets. They need them, and they can't afford to blow 6-game leads. 6-run leads in the ninth. They can't afford to lose games that are tied 2-2 in the eighth. They got to win these games. Maybe in June, okay, 4-2 out of 6 games is fine. But 4-2 in 6 games in September, when you're 5 games back, is not good enough. It's
You know what the Mets also need?
a bullpen.
Yes, but what I was going to say is they needed to sell.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm just saying this. Obviously, I don't believe it's going to happen. I'm going to laugh so hard. They make a run. They get to the wild card, some 2015 magic, get to that World Series, and we're like, oh, they should still sell. They should have sold. Yeah,
I would still say that. I mean,
Oh, that's weird.
So.
Even if before we go off, this was weird. The Athletics and Tigers had a doubleheader today, and it says their records from when the game was suspended. So I saw the Tigers were 18-26. I'm like, what the? Wait a minute.
The Tigers are going to be playing until February,
Yeah.
and they're going to have to wait to play.
What? But it shows their record. That was weird. That threw me off. Like,
See, and this is what we were talking about. Look how far ago that was. And now some injuries might have happened. Some people might have come back, and they might be on a hot streak. So this game, that could be a swing game.
Before,
Yeah,
but yep.
that's what we talked about.
That's going to do it for the IT Sports Show today on this Friday. We'll be back with you Monday to talk about the football weekend. Did we win all of our picks? We don't know. Ringo has the only Monday night pick, so we'll wait to see if Ringo went 3 for 3 or whatever he did. All right. We got a big weekend for the Mets. They need sweeps, as we just said. The Yankees just don't get swept and look bad. They're just in cruise control for now. But that's going to do it for the IT Sports Show. Find us on Twitter at @ITSports_show. Find us on YouTube at Impractical Talker Sports Show. Find us now on Spotify and Apple Music, right, Ringo? Or Apple Podcasts?
Yes. Yeah,
Yep.
Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
At
We're
Impractical
there.
Talkers. Yep, we're there now at Impractical Talker Sports Show. As always, Jordan, flanked to my right by Tom. Ringo over the Skype machine at his home. We will see you Monday, 11 to 12.
Go Giants.